My name is Berkan Özyer. I am the program director of Greenpeace Turkey. Yeah.
That's who you are.
That's my
Okay,
role.
great. Thank you. So we've had a short discussion on the goal of the the COP29 bike ride, and you told me there are certain factors in Istanbul that can explain the current situation on cycling. What would you say are the hurdles that need to be overcome in order to develop cycling here in Istanbul?
There is one thing it can't be overcome. It's geography. The city is full of hills and up and downs.
Okay.
This is the biggest excuse for Istanbulites, Istanbul people not to use cycling.
Okay.
I use mountain bike in the city, so I'm okay with it. But also, this is one, and second, the infrastructure and city planning, it's very problematic in Istanbul, as in many cities in Turkey, but especially for Istanbul, because it's like a never-ending growth is going on in Istanbul. We are around 20 million. Mm-hmm. Official number is 16 to 18, but we know that it's much more than that. So it's been going on for like hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. There's a very internal migration coming to the city, and the city cannot meet the need for new places by planning it. There's no urban planning in Istanbul. So what we see, there's always new additions to the city. You see one empty area turns into a new neighborhood without a plan. So when you have this, and when you don't have this is the third problem, as I've said, there is no demand. Mm-hmm. There is no demand for cycling lanes, cycling roads for people, because you gave a number about statistics saying that many people use public transportation for short distances.
Yeah.
But in our case, people spend 1 hour for home to work is normal. It's an ordinary minute for Istanbul. 1 hour. So, and it's for public transportation or by car. It doesn't make difference. So the distance between work and home, the commute is also very long in Istanbul. So that makes people see cycling as a thing only can be done on Sundays, as a hobby, And this also requires culture shift on two ways. One, people need to use it as they don't have to use cycling just to go to work. They don't need to use this as a full way, Some parts can be done easily by cycling. So this is the demand side on consumers, on citizens. And second, there needs to be change from the eyes of politicians as well. Because politicians, what was it? Cycling washing, you said, right?
Yeah, cycle washing.
Cycle, yeah. So politicians, because they don't see demand, they only use it as a, PR instrument most of the time. And yeah, this is more or less the case. And also Istanbul is very hot.
Yeah.
It's also problematic. But the main problem is there is no infrastructure. There is no I don't know the word for this, but the sewage canals, everything can be very dangerous. There are tens of times I fall asleep or hit by a car when I biked in my personal life, and it is like it's like a jungle in Turkish traffic jam.
We have experienced it on the way to Istanbul.
Yeah.
That it's very.
It's like a survival of the fittest.
Exactly. Somehow we survived this.
Yeah, lucky you.
So, and if, let's say, in order to bring an optimistic perspective, or what do you think would be the leverage for changes, or if you had, possibility as a politician or responsibility in order to change things, how would you imagine a change is possible in Istanbul in the coming 10 years, for instance? I'm asking a hard question because you told me how difficult it is. Now I'm saying, okay, let's find a solution. So
Yeah, this is the how to say. This is what we do in civil society. We complain, we mostly just diagnose the situation and the problems.
oh, you can inspire. You're here to inspire. So, or do
For
you think,
politicians, for example,
yeah,
a couple of months ago, I guess 5 months ago, in Kadıköy again, in the one of the most the district with highest socioeconomic level, a bicycle cycler was hit by a car and died. And there was no, how to say, there was no politician embrace the case or become vocal of the case. It's just died. So if a politician, if a mayor, let's say Istanbul mayor, Kadıköy mayor, or a political party goes to the cases and shows a, how to say, existence, during about the case, it might change something. And when you look at now, you see that they just died, without any consequences. This might also change. This is a very small step, but it also shows that this area is, how to say, has some advocacy. There's an advocate. A mayor can do advocacy for such a thing.
Yeah.
If you hit a car, be respectful to the cyclists, because we, in our city vision, we give space to the cyclists. This requires a vision.
Yeah.
And this can easily be done. A mayor can easily come up with such a plan or such a speech, such a vision,
Yeah.
And actually, I don't understand why they don't do it. This also doesn't require any money. This doesn't require any, I don't know, political motivation. They just can do it.
Yeah.
And for solutions, it's just, if a political party, and also this requires NGOs as well, but also civil society in Turkey, as in many countries these days, is also very problematic. This requires funding, this requires capacity, this requires many other things, this requires, I don't know, justice. Doing advocacy for a civil society organization about cycling also requires too much effort, too much money, too much motivation. And the only way in Turkish realities this can be solved is, how to say, a political organization to own the case. It all comes to for those things, I believe it can't go like from below to the top. It should come from top to the below. This is our reality, because there won't be a civil society movement demanding change in Turkish ways and Turkish infrastructure. There is no demand. There won't be such a civil society organization. It should be top to bottom, and that's what makes your experiments, the thing you are doing is special. To show that this is a global problem, and as a Turkish mayor or Turkish government official or as a political party leader, you can be a solution provider to such a global problem. If politicians or leaders see that as an option,
as an opportunity,
as a political opportunity, they just need to be convinced. For example, I used to be a food campaigner, and it took years to convince people in the municipality that food is an important thing. you know, because there was no food inflation at that when I was working 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because food and the people were seeing that politicians seeing this food is a very accessible thing. There is no need to think about it, you know, create plans about it. But when there's an inflation, all of a sudden they start to think about how to access food. You know? So that's why I'm saying there's a need to change in their perception as well. Cycling is not a, as you said as well, it's not a luxury thing. It's not a detailed thing.
It's a real, serious, important solution to carbon emission.
And also it's the same. For example, in 100 years ago, there were many train lines in Istanbul, way more than we have now. But when the priority was given to automobiles, autos, those tram lines were demolished, and instead they are now having this car lines. So somehow we went backward. We just need to remind that this is not sustainable. You know, this can't be the solution.
I think, yeah, it's a great way to put it. It is not sustainable, yes.
And also, that's what, I don't know too much about this Dutch case, but I know that this wasn't, the cities were not like this 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
If they did it in 50 years, there was also rapid change from empty streets to cars, and they also had a rapid change from cars to bikes.
Exactly, yeah.
And now it's the, how to say, as far as I know, one of the main ways of transportation, means of transportation. So it's, if they did it, we can also do it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
But I don't know how to implement it, you know. And there's a gap globally in politics, I see. Politicians believe that they act on this bigger picture, you know. The great narrative is much more important than the daily life problems. Once they notice that daily life's problems, if you provide solution to daily life, then you can create a bigger picture or bigger narrative. But somehow they give much more importance to those big picture narratives instead of focusing on real life problems. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for these enlightenments, your views on the situation in Istanbul, and the hopeful or the horizon, the perspective you're giving on how it can improve on cycling.
I thank you, and I, as I said, fully support your case. My one example, my solution would be, you know, showing the, how to say, best cases. As I've said, Konya, or as she said, Eskişehir. Those are the cities where people are using bicycles as their, like, in their daily life. And
maybe also showing best case of other countries to politicians, like things that happen in Paris, in Bogota, in various cities around the world. Of course, the known one, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, but there's many cities that could be provided as examples of how transformation can be made. Yeah.
And also there's a, how to say, something like a PR work also very doable, because in our case, where cars are the main priority, people want to buy cars because it's, how to say, it's significant, you know, it shows, it means something that you can afford a brand new car. But instead, showing that cycling is actually cool, you know, this is the real cool. Such PR campaigns also, I don't know, advertisements or soap operas, you know, or TV shows. Even small messages in those channels also can be used to change people's perception about cycling or other ways of transportation.
Okay, thank you very much for all that. Thank you.
Just have a question, I don't know, like about the global campaign about transportation. Do you know what's inside? What the campaign about transportation is about at Greenpeace? Like the guidelines and how you can implement it here.
As far as I know, I don't want to give a wrong answer, but as far as I know, we don't have a global campaign on mobility. There are some national works in different offices, but it is mainly about in Indian office, I guess they are, or Indonesian office. I'm not so sure. As I've said, I don't want to, because you are recording, I don't want to give a wrong answer. Because in some offices, they are doing some urban mobility cases. And but there's a work about urban mobility in India, but they focus on public transportation and bus, as far as I know. There is no mention about cycling. Maybe there is, I don't know. I don't want to give wrong answer, as I've said. Yeah. And I'm thinking still. But yeah, no.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
all these answers.
Yeah, I need to run now.